joining us today. I'm Congressman Dan Goldman. I'm here with my colleagues in the State Senate and State Assembly, Andrew Gounardes and Bobby Carroll, as well as our friends with Mixteca. We are here to bring attention to what is an increasingly urgent and dangerous situation. Now that relates entirely to the militarized ICE efforts to arrest immigrants who are here lawfully, and to whisk them down south for expedited deportation that would break the law. And so what we have learned is that ICE and the federal government, in coordination with the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons, is relocating detainees, immigration detainees, to the MDC here. Now, this is not the first time we've been in front of the MDC, which has a very well-established record of being incredibly unsafe, inhumane, cruel, even to the point where federal judges call the conditions in the MDC barbaric at the end of that administration, which increased the staffing significantly here and made the conditions much better. When Donald Trump came in, his administration yanked that retention bonus, and staffing has now gone down. So who's paying? Because the Bureau of Prisons doesn't have money to pay for its own staff, for its own detainees, much less ICE detainees. We want answers to those questions. And we want to know where the money will be coming from now that the Republicans jammed through a bill that takes away health care and food benefits to millions and millions of Americans, but increases ICE's budget for detention by $45 billion. Oversight, both constitutionally authorized and statutorily obligated oversight. But they mostly owe answers to New Yorkers and to the American people. That is not what is happening. These are our community members being yanked from their families unsuspectingly and deceptively, and it must stop, and it certainly must stop treating them as if they were criminals. I thank my colleagues for being here, and I want to turn it over to State Senator
Andrew Gounardes from the 26th District, including right here in Sunset Park, including the MDC facility behind me. Let's remember, the Congressman pointed out, federal judges have called this building behind us barbaric. Barbaric. We don't use that term in our everyday discourse. We save that term for conditions that are beyond the pale. It conjures up images of people fighting on battlefields 1,000 years ago, slaughtering each other, right? Beyond the pale of what civilized society would tolerate. Barbaric. And not only that, we also have credible reports that people being detained here are being denied their opportunity to speak to their lawyers. So we have a facility where people who are not being charged with a crime. So we are demanding answers here. I should also add that this facility has not had a community advisory meeting as they're required to in God knows how long, that all local offices used to participate in, and ever since we called out their inhumane conditions when they didn't have heat in this building for a week, have not held these meetings to the public and to the community to ensure that they're being held accountable. It's the same old story, tale as old as time, over and over again. Immigrants do not make us less safe. Immigrants add to the prosperity of our communities. Immigrants add to the vibrant diversity of our communities. Immigrants are the backbone of the New York story, of the American story, and let us never forget that. So I want to thank our congressman, I want to thank my colleagues who have joined here, and now I'm going to call up my colleague in Albany, Assemblymember Bobby Carroll. Bobby?
Good morning, and thank you, Andrew, thank you, Congressman Goldman, and thank you to all the advocates who are bringing us here today. So many of us stood out here on a cold day in February in 2019 when the heat went out in this building. It took the Attorney General, the state legislature, congressional representatives to go into that building to make sure the heat was turned back on. Get their due process and that they get released. We need to have these individuals released. They deserve their day in court. We need to stand witness to this until they're released. And again, I thank all the advocates. I thank my colleague, Andrew Gounardes. I thank my other colleague, Dan Goldman, for bringing us here together to make sure that we are here to bear witness. Thank you.
Thank you so much for standing with us, with our people. I'm Lorena Corucias, the Executive Director of Mixteca Organization. Mixteca has been in this community for 25 years. We work with the community that is trying to thrive, is thriving in this community, is helping this community to thrive and to be better. Many of the people that we work with they escape violence. They are here to protect their families and they are here to seek for a better life. Or neighbors, or friends. And they are even more scared right now, affecting the economy of this place, affecting what is happening in our community. This is not only unsafe inside, but it's making our community unsafe. Our neighbors are afraid, and we all should be afraid of what is happening here. And I just want to remind all of you that this is 2025. And this is been happening for many, many years. It was one of those children who has special needs. Gounardes is the only person that provides for that family. And now Gounardes is the
I'm Chief of Staff to State Senator Julia Salazar, who represents North Brooklyn and part of Queens. Very much of our district has immigrant families, long-standing and new, and we stand in solidarity with them today and forever. We want to say that what is happening behind us is federal lawlessness. It is not just unconstitutional, it is anti-constitutional. Indeed, it is un-American. The federal government currently is seeking to shred the rule of law, if not by declaring martial law and suspending the Constitution outright, then by chipping away at it. What we see is the federal government ignoring judges' orders, intervening at the site of the judiciary, that is to say our courts themselves, and ignoring the law outright.
To publicly record who is where within their custody. They're often very slow at doing it, but for instance, that's how we know that the gentleman that Lorena was talking about is in Texas, because you can go on the website. We've also been making inquiries, but let's be very clear. The Trump administration is not only using this draconian militarized immigration enforcement against people who are here lawfully. Let me make that clear. If you have an asylum claim, that is a lawful way to come into this country. Many people with asylum applications have work visas and are working lawfully. What ICE is doing, and what this administration is doing, is going after the easiest people it is for them to find just to boost numbers. Is entirely complicit. As a member of the minority, I cannot subpoena the administration without the Republicans' cooperation. They refuse to cooperate, they refuse to demand answers, and so we are left having no idea how these 100 non-violent, non-criminal, lawful immigrants are being treated in one of the most barbaric and worst detention centers in the country.
And just, sorry, as a really quick follow-up, those 100, they're all asylum seekers? Or are you saying...
We don't know.
So you're saying there could be people who are citizens? I mean, how do you know who 100 folks are?
We have seen and heard many stories of citizens who have been detained, wrongfully detained. I have a story from a gentleman in my district, and this is my district with the Manhattan portion, a longtime worker at the Square Diner in Tribeca, who went as a green card holder, went to a immigration appearance, was snatched by ICE agents, told them that he was a green card holder, showed them, I believe, what his social security card was. The ICE agent took it, ripped it up, accused him of having a fake social security card, and they sent him to Texas to be deported. He's entirely complicit. As a member of the minority, I cannot subpoena the administration without the Republicans' cooperation. They refuse to cooperate, they refuse to demand answers, and so we are left having no idea how these 100 non-violent, non-criminal, lawful immigrants are being treated in one of the most barbaric and worst detention centers in the country.
And just sorry, as a really quick follow-up, those 100, they're all asylum seekers? Or are you saying...
We don't know.
So you're saying there could be people who are citizens? I mean, how do you know who those 100 folks are?
We have seen and heard many stories of citizens who have been detained, wrongfully detained. I have a story from a gentleman in my district, and this is my district with the Manhattan portion, a longtime worker at the Square Diner in Tribeca, who went as a green card holder, went to a immigration appearance, was snatched by ICE agents, told them that he was a green card holder, showed them, I believe, what his social security card was. The ICE agent took it, ripped it up, accused him of having a fake social security card, and they sent him to Texas to be deported.
Who are advocates in the community that people are being detained here, that there've been an increased number of lockdowns because of the staffing issues that the congressman pointed to, which has been a historic problem at this facility. And again, I think that's part of the problem here, that the black hole that is the building behind us, there is no information coming out to be able to give people assurance, A, that people are okay, B, that their rights are being adhered to, and C, that that there are no gross violations of their civil liberties. And that's also why we're very concerned about the reports we've heard, both from press and from advocates and legal advisors, about denying people access to their lawyers here as well, which is oftentimes the vehicle by which elected officials and community organizations hear firsthand about issues that are arising, that are happening to their clients. So that gives us great concern and reason for worry, given the history at this facility, given the way that the administration has been carrying out this immigration dragnet, and
they're keeping people in 26 federal plazas, holding facility for up to 2 weeks. And they are saying to me that that facility is not being used to detain or house immigrants. Let me ask them, if someone stays there for 14 consecutive days, sleeps there on the floor, without a shower, without a change of clothes, barely gets food, how is that not being used to house or detain people? That is what their interpretation of the law is. So we have not had access to 26 Federal Plaza, but we are going to continue to press here to learn more information and to get more access. It's technically not a Department of Homeland Security immigration facility. That is what Congress has a statutory right to oversee. But we also have a constitutional obligation to oversee the Bureau of Prisons, the Department of Justice. I'm on the Judiciary Committee, which has direct jurisdiction over the Bureau of Prisons. And we expect answers. The American people expect answers. Either coming out of regularly scheduled court appearances where they have a court case that should be adjudicated before the final determination is made. It used to be that the Trump administration dismissed those cases, so there was no pending case. Now they're not even dismissing the cases. They're just arresting people who have active asylum claims, a lawful pathway of entry, and they are detaining them and sending them to Texas to be deported, which would be completely lawless if they were deported. We are also hearing so many stories of workplaces being raided, farms being raided. I heard a story of a nanny on a playground who was snatched by ICE while she was taking care of a young child. This is a massive and intentional policy to get as many, not only to detain as many immigrants as possible, but to incite fear and terror in so many communities all around the country. Responsible for investigating our most serious crimes and for keeping our homeland safe and for keeping our communities safe from violent crimes, from terrorism, from the worst of the worst. They are being pulled away from those investigations so they can help arrest asylum applicants trying to immigrate here through a lawful process. Just think about that. It is making our country and our community much less safe by taking our criminal law enforcement agents away from their regular duties in order to boost the number of deportations of people trying to immigrate to this country through the proper process.
When it gets too hot, does it get a hot card alert on your camera?